Maybe, hang on one second, guys, sorry. I need update too. Okay, we got 5:30. Ryan, you want to lead us in pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Roll call.
Jenny David.
Here.
Roger May. Charles Wiltie. Craig Scott. Mark Serbrook.
Here.
Additions. I'm going to start with mine and then I'll get to yours, Kay. After we got the Historical Society, just a brief announcement on that Fabian will give. To just the Personnel Committee, I just wanted to touch base with you on that. And then H would be just a little question related to the medical examiner.
Then I would like to discuss prohibited items entering the county building and courthouse and grounds maintenance, specifically the conditional law library and the back parking lot with a huge pothole that I've had several complaints over. Several.
Courthouse grounds, I think I missed one before that.
Courthouse, I just did courthouse and grounds
And prohibited items.
and prohibited items coming in the county building.
Anything for you, Commissioner Wilson?
No, thank you.
The assessor, were you gonna bring that up?
Not tonight.
That's not okay.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections? Public comment, any public comment in the room? Any public comment?
Was the agenda?
No, we don't roll.
No. It was on the agenda, so the approvals.
Any public comment on the phone? Appointments? None. Oh, was someone gonna say something? Okay, discussion items. Ryan, come on up.
Here. Well, I'll be as brief as I can here. So on your agenda, I actually have three items, the three ordinances that we're working on at the Planning Commission. Battery energy storage, solar and wind energy ordinances. And my goal is not to come here today to go through these ordinances and discuss them with you, but to more or less give you the reasoning why we've been working on these and to provide you with a little bit more information and basically the pros and cons of what we're working on. So just really quick, these are all based because of the PA 233 that was passed in 2023. That's a public act that creates the option for developers to go through the Michigan Public Service Commission for siting for wind, solar energy storage facilities. PA 233 has guidelines for wind, solar, and energy storage projects which preempt any local zoning regulations. And basically in that act, it states that the local zoning has a CREO, which is considered a compatible renewable energy ordinance or workable ordinance, the developer can choose to go through local zoning. Also lists the differences between what a CREO and a workable ordinance is. CREO is basically, those are the guidelines that have been created by the state in Act 233. And when you create a CREO, you have to stay, you basically have to have the same, you cannot have any guidelines or recommendations that are stricter than what the state requires. With a workable ordinance, the local zoning authority could set guidelines that are more restrictive than what the state requires. And a developer could choose to go through the local zoning process or proceed to the Michigan Public Service Commission. The caveat on all of this is regardless of either way you go through, if you go through the municipality through a CREO, which would be going through our zoning, or through a workable ordinance, if a developer were denied through our decision at our board, they could go on to the Michigan Public Service Commission and get approval from them anyways. So we have been working on a workable ordinances for both of these, for all three of these types of renewable energy. And part of the reasoning for PA 233 is not only big push for renewable energy. I think it's PA 235, which actually puts some of these guidelines in perspective. For instance, they would like the majority of the energy to be produced in Michigan to be 100% from renewable energy by 2040. There are some other guidelines in there as well too. 2030, I think they're looking to be at 50 or 75%. So that puts some pretty heavy deadlines on our utility companies here in Michigan, the DTEs, the consumers' energies of the world too. So it not only affects us, possibly it also affects them as well too. So through our workable ordinance that we've been dealing with, we are setting regulations and guidelines that are a little bit stricter than what the state is requiring in their PRIOs. This is something that's been happening more and more lately. The state and federal laws have been preempting some of our local zoning in ways that we have to conduct our meetings and things that we have to look at to approve. Telecommunication towers, cell towers are heavily regulated by both federal and state laws. It really cuts our ability to be able to do our jobs at the planning commission level. They basically tell us what we can consider in our decision-making process and what we cannot. So health effects are one of the big things that we're not allowed to look at when it comes to telecommunication towers, which probably one of the biggest things that we look at when we look at special use permits and projects that people are doing, health effects, how it affects the neighbors, how it affects roads, things of that nature. So preemption is not a good thing when it comes to local zoning. I've always been a big proponent that I think those decisions should be made at the local level, not at the state level. However, more and more we look into it, things are getting taken out of our control. And with every option, when it comes to this PA 233, whether it's a CREO or workable ordinance, there are pros and cons with these options. And the biggest reason for me to bring this to you today is you all know any ordinance amendments, map amendments, text amendments that we do at the planning commission level require approval from the commissioners. With the amount of time and energy that we've put in from the planning commission with these as well, probably safe to say we're at this point where before we spend any more money as far as public hearings, attorney reviews, we have a discussion with the commissioners on where you might be in, where you might fall in this process. So page 2 of your little packet I gave you, there are some pros and some cons to using local zoning for these types of projects. On the pro side is more for the developers. For developers going through local zoning, we have to issue a decision within 120 days. The Michigan Public Service Commission can take up to a year or even longer to issue their decision. Developers' application fees at the local level will probably be considerably cheaper than what's at the state level. The applications for that particular project will probably be much smaller than what's been produced by the Michigan Public Service Commission. This is the application filing instructions and procedures. It is 82 pages long and is pretty quite in depth. From the state side, their application fee includes a $75,000 for intervenor funds for affected local units of government. The base application fee is $10,000, and then the local unit payment of $2,000 per megawatt. So for instance, a provider that was looking at putting in a 1,000 megawatt facility, that would be a $200,000 check that they have to provide. Documentation studies, testing requirements will probably be less stringent at the local level than they would be at the state level as well too, which is why I brought this giant packet with me. Pros in a local zoning, more stringent regulations can be put in place. For example, PA 233 does not require screening and decommissioning plans, do not require anything underground to be removed. Our workable ordinance has increased setbacks and could require screening and decommissioning plans. For instance, our decommissioning plans require anything 3 feet below the surface to be removed once the project is done and over with. Another pro for using local zoning, public hearings would take place here. Handled by the Michigan Public Service Commission. These hearings are going to take place in Lansing or another place. Could be 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. which would be difficult maybe for locals who might be affected by it to meet those, to go to those hearings to hear what's going on. Also, the other pros for local zoning is your people on your planning commission, they live here, they've lived here, a lot of them have lived here for a long time, they know the area. And they know who they're talking to as well, too. But with those responsibilities also come the cons for us to do that as well, too. Any legal fees as a result of our decision at the planning commission, that would be the responsibility of the county. Anybody taking us to court, anybody trying that objects to a decision that we made would possibly put us in a legal battle. At the state side, from the state side, if it is not handled at the local municipality, they have what's available are called intervenor funds. Intervenor funds are financial resources awarded to eligible parties, often community groups, municipalities, or nonprofits, to cover expenses for participating in public utility, energy, environmental regulatory proceedings. They're collected from the applicant, and these funds help pay for expert witnesses, consultants, legal fees to ensure informed, balanced, and transparent decisions. And that's up to $75,000 per unit is available. Another kind of the planning commission review, we currently don't have anyone that's really well versed in these types of projects. We have no existing plans or projects that we've done in the past that we could refer to. So really would be required to hire experts in those fields to review their plans. And when you're talking about reviewing plans and experts, that's probably going to increase legal fees as well too. Those would probably have to go through lengthy legal review, rising from the application process or anything in the process. So that could be public notices, that could be any part of that process, the decision-making process, the things that the statutory duties of the planning commission could all be brought up into in a legal battle, so to speak. Currently, when we talk about the experts that do these, the state of Michigan will obviously is probably hiring people that are very adept in this area or have knowledge in this area. Currently, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 applications that are sitting with the Michigan Public Service Commission for review. And to just kind of give you, there is the website actually has great resource for all that information. You can look at each project that's going on. You can look at the review. You can look at their plans. You can look at certain items that have been submitted through there. The one that I looked at, the first one on the list is a solar project in Leslie, Onondaga, Vevay Townships in Ingham County. It's currently under review. Application is complete. That was submitted on June 18th of 2025, and it still has not been decided yet. So the state level is a long, lengthy process, but when I went through and reviewed these documents, it is set up very well for the public to be informed of what's going on. The other pages that I put on here for you, these are just the regulations that are in PA 233 for solar setbacks from occupied community buildings, from public right-of-ways, non-participating parties. They discuss fencing for solar, the height of solar panels, sound levels that generate from the maximum sound levels that get generated from these solar panels. They do have a hum to them just because of the amount, I believe it's from the power and what's being generated by the panels. They talk about lighting solutions and wind energy, same thing. They have setbacks in there. Height, there really is no height requirement under the wind energy. One of the biggest things I've been told is the towers that you currently see in Michigan, or some of the ones that have been there the longest, are actually pretty small for what they're proposing nowadays. Currently have an individual that has put up some Met towers for possible future wind projects, and they're looking to be in the 700-foot area. And that would be to the tip of the blade, for the windmill blade, which is, it's something you can't hide with trees or screening. It's something you're going to see. Our ordinance, the one portion of our ordinance that we did not finalize anything on was the height requirement for that. I can say from the airport zoning standpoint, those do not become an issue unless they're over. I don't believe airspace review comes in for them too much until they're over 500 feet. And then battery energy storage, which is what we really don't have any in Michigan. I believe there's one facility in Michigan. Back when I went through some training last year and the year before for it. And they actually have some recommendation of options or what they think will be in place in 2020 or 2030. And the number of solar and wind and energy projects are going to be pretty massive. So the biggest problem that I see with this being a rural community, it's the issue I have with it is the rural communities and their farmland are responsible for the food production of the world for the most part. I think it's pretty unfair that now that energy production for at least for Michigan is being forced down the throats for those individuals as well too. So there's a lot at stake. There are property owners out there right now that have signed agreements, lease agreements for their land for future solar, wind, and possibly battery storage projects. So it is a big thing. Don't know if you've read a lot about these in the news, but they generally, when they're handled at the local level, they are pretty contentious meetings. They're very long meetings. One I was reading about the other day, it was a 6-hour-long planning commission meeting. So there's a lot of ins and outs in that, but before we go too much terribly further with this, it's probably begs to have the conversation with you folks to see. I know there's been a lot of work has been done in the last few years to get our budget to where it is today. Legal concerns could blow that budget out very quickly if things aren't handled properly. So
I sit on the zoning, I'm gonna interrupt you.
yeah, go right.
I sit on the zoning board with you, and we have spent quite a bit of time
Mhm.
conversing about this over the last 2 years. We've looked at a couple different ordinances throughout the state, and trying to find two that are similar is merely impossible. We've had quite a bit of conversation with other counties as well. There has been some legal battles where the county was liable for some funds. I've made it very verbal how I feel about all of this. I am not in favor of this whatsoever.
Sure.
And I think it's gonna be very difficult to sell this in the community. And frankly, us, as far as a planning commission, we don't have the manpower for this. Nor do we have the hours, nor do we have, I mean, we just had 2 very extensive meetings that got fairly loud related to a simple campground, a rustic campground.
Sure.
So I'm gonna recommend for liability purposes, along with other purposes, leaving this to the state. That way they're responsible for everything. It's not telling people they can't do it. They can still do it. They just have to go through the state
Sure.
versus a local level.
Sure. It does, and I'm very much in favor of us doing this. However, there are significant concerns with that. With talking with consumers, for instance, is one of the that's looking to do a significant solar and probably battery storage facility here in Ogemaw County. They would like to go through our zoning just because it would be quicker, simpler. And they're willing to work with us when it comes to some of the issues that our residents might have as far as screening. You know, for instance, I'll use Charles as an example. They're going to put one right next to your house. The state is not required to screen them from the view of that neighboring property. We could, in fact, put those guidelines into our ordinance, which I believe we have. and require them to put up screening between property owners if they had issues. So there are some things, and consumers is willing to work with those individuals. The problem being is this gets done at the state level, they may not get that information. A property owner may not be able to go to them and explain to them that they'd like to have that up.
But
From
that's,
what I've been seeing at the state level and what they have in here, I very quickly looked at this first one on top, and there was the most recent memo that came out was sent out to a bunch of people. And I think there were 6 individuals that was sent out to, and it was more of just a notice. 6 of those individuals were attorneys. 2 were, I'm not sure who the other 2 were. I did actually recognize one of the names on there. But there are actually legal, I think there are challenges from the developer as well too, from what they're being required to provide to the Michigan Public Service Commission. There was a very lengthy document in there where they were disputing the necessity of some of the documentation they were actually being required to submit. And that will go through their formal review process. And I'm not sure how we would handle anything like that at our level as well too.
so what he's asking us is if he wants us to move forward at a zoning level with this, or if you guys would prefer, because ultimately it does come to the board for a final decision, or if your guys' opinion at this point in time is to leave this up to the state, then we're not gonna pursue this any further.
And just another caveat, it's not a decision that has to be made tonight. I know consumers, they have deadlines for them. They're probably raring to go. They have lease agreements with people. They're looking, because they are leasing from farmers who are actually using their property right now. Farmers want to know, a year in advance what's going to happen next year. For instance, they start buying their seed apparently usually in January, February of that year. So some of those individuals probably would like to know, am I farming my land next year, or is consumers putting solar panels on it? Or, so I understand their side of it as well too, but it is it's a decision that needs to be before we go too much further with it, that we need to have that discussion about.
Commissioner Serbrook.
My opinion is let the state take care of just one court case.
Mhm.
The potential for the cost of defending a lawsuit alone makes me just say, let the state deal with it. We're just in a position now in the county where we've actually got some, a decent fund balance, and that could be shot in no time with one of these. If the decision was made and they appealed the decision and it went to court, God only knows how much money we could potentially spend as defending ourselves. And we're not the experts. So now we're going to have to hire experts. It's going to cost money, more money, more money. We'd like to see us have some local control, definitely.
Sure.
But I think that the liability of potential for expending county funds, if we make a mistake, is just too great right now to go down that road.
And I would definitely agree with you on that. When I was looking over this first project that's on the current siting applications for the MPSC, their requirement is they have up to a year. If we do it, we're given 120 days. I'm not so sure, if we had a completed application, if we could even find an expert in that field that would be able to
complete it within that time frame.
Complete it within that time frame, based on everything that's going on in the state of Michigan as well too. It is another concern is planning commission members themselves. This is it's like you said, it's not like we're putting a campground next door. It's not like we're putting in a Dollar General next door. This is a 1,200 acre project. It is going to impact a lot of individuals. Some of them are signing up for it and will profit for it. Others are not. So my concern is with those planning commission members having to make those decisions, being in the community as well too.
Commissioner Wiltie.
Well, I mean, I feel local control as much as we can is extremely important, but I understand this is a specialty case. I am a huge non-supporter of this wind energy and these solar panels that are going up right now. I mean, if anybody would take the time and do a little bit of research and see what the cost these are, we're losing farmland. And then how many years basically they're good for until they're just junk. And then what do we do with them? I mean, I understand that as we move forward, I have two young girls. I'm all about talking about and learning sustainability for us as a country. But solar panels in Ogemaw County, wind turbines in Ogemaw County, I don't want to see any. Now, residential business use on top of a rooftop, that's different. But I know I'm kind of getting off a little bit here, a little bit farther than I probably should to what my answer is. But I mean, obviously, as a county, we don't have the resources, the money, the department to do something like this. But I would like to see zero of this in Ogemaw County because at the end of the day, for what it supplies to the grid and the cost and losing that acreage of farmland, it's not worth it. So.
There you go, Ryan.
Yeah, and currently there is a group right now of municipalities. I'm not sure how many townships, and I believe there's a couple of counties that actually Foster Swift, which is a big law firm, are currently, I believe, trying to fight this PA 233 and its constitutionality. There's another. I don't know if you'd put that on there as a con. We very well could go through this entire process and then everything be overturned and we're back at it. But in those draft ordinances, and those are things that, depending on what's decided, we'll have to go back and look to add some of that to our ordinance. But we have looked at, home-based solar. We have looked at home-based wind. We have regulations in there for battery storage for, if you want to put up a solar panel at your house or you want to put up a little wind generator at your house, setbacks and guidelines for that. So those things might need to be eventually incorporated into our ordinance. And our ordinance has no battery storage information in it whatsoever. So that would have to be added. But in the context of where we're at now, those could be worked in a different way. So.
You got your answer.
I think we definitely need to look at the small scale stuff, if somebody has a hunting camp, let's say, and they want to put in a solar array to power their hunting camp and have a battery storage facility to store that solar energy that's produced, I think we need to take and definitely explore those options, in order to regulate those so that we're safe. But as far as large industrial, leave it to the state of Michigan,
And well,
in my opinion.
that's one thing I was really very disappointed with this public act is that, it's looking at the utility scale of it, but it's also not looking at the other scale of it. I mean, if we're going to go this route, then we need to utilize everything we possibly can. There are parking, I believe there are parking shelters at Michigan State University that have solar panels on them. Should there be statewide requirements for large $50,000-$100,000 square foot facilities that should be requiring them to have solar panels?
Or if it produces X amount of energy, then.
The next thing on the list will be data centers as well, which use massive amounts of power, massive amounts of water. So those things should have been considered along in with this, but that's not always how it happens. So, but thank you. I appreciate it. Any questions, feel free to let me know and we will kind of keep you informed as we go. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. David, can we go back to the agenda? This was my bad. I wasn't positive that Randy would be here tonight and I should have double checked to make sure. I would like to put Randy on.
Okay. Randy, you want to come up now? Like you're gonna fall asleep on us. It's been a long day. Come on up.
Good evening.
We're that boring. I don't know which.
Just that long day.
Staring at spreadsheets all day, so it's been a long.
I hear ya.
day. I guess kind of a quick report. We did have all the assessment notices are in the mail to the people. we're looking at about a 5% increase in taxable value and real property for the county. The personal property information we won't get till after board of review. But so fairly good increase in taxable value. The rate of inflation this year was only 2.7%.
I mean, it's good, but that means our taxes went up.
Yes, every year.
It's good at the county level, at the budget level, but.
We did had, I talked at the budget meeting this morning and we had units that did not have any new construction brought in. There's quite a bit of new construction that's missing off the rolls. So we had talked about that this morning, but
So how do you address that?
it's more of a local unit with the township's concerns, but we had 6 townships that brought in a grand total of 3 building permits.
Can you tell us what townships those were?
Sure. Churchill Township, Edwards Township, Logan Township, Ogemaw Township, City of Rose City, and Richland Township.
So all of them combined brought in 3? Or
3
3
building
apiece?
permits, $250,000 total for the 3 in new construction this year.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
And in Edwards Township alone, in the past year, 12 Amish homes were built.
As well as other buildings.
They just didn't get permits then, right?
No,
Or,
they got
or,
permits.
sorry, the assessor is not putting that, yeah, sorry.
I,
So that's not okay.
not really. I'm working on, today I was going through, I did a building permit report for the last 3 years, kind of doing an audit and looking to see what they brought on and so I can kind of make contact with local units, let them know, kind of what's going on and
A lot of my, 3 of them townships are mine, but 2 of them have gotten a new assessor this past year.
yes. And in Richland's case, the old assessor retired in
Yep.
December 31st. They hired him and he had about 3 weeks to turn in his assessment role.
They have a young
Young,
Gentleman now.
young gentleman and he didn't have a lot of time, but there's and I don't know the condition of the role. If the old assessor had entered the permits in the system where he had them, we give copies of permit information to the assessors. And so, we probably work with them on that and look at that and see what was missed this year.
Logan struggled with assessors as well. They seem to have a pretty concrete one right now. At least he seems to be. He's at the last couple of meetings. But
They brought in 1 building permit.
they went through some changes. I guess it's been almost a
It's been a year.
year, yeah.
The old assessor resigned last year. April 1st was the effective date. They hired a
Okay.
new assessor either in April or May last year, so he's been on for a year. But yeah, it's a little disappointing. We've not had this before, but so I think there's a lot of value that wasn't brought on the roll this year.
So now it's brought to our attentions to take back to our townships.
I think it's definitely, as Randy said, it's a township issue. I think the townships need to take and hold their assessors accountable. They should, I know a couple of townships that I represent, Edwards being one of them, and Horton being the other one, that they don't have real good communication with their assessors, and they are frustrated at the township level because those assessors are not providing them some updates that they've asked for, and I think that's what's needed, is for those townships to hold the assessor's feet to the fire and say, give us a quarterly report on what's going on in our township with new construction and where we're at. So again, that's on the townships. I don't know how much we can do at the county level other than just encourage the townships to.
I think even bringing it just up at the township meeting makes them more accountable and people aware.
Yeah, and MTA's had some pretty good classes the last few years for township officials about oversight of assessing functions and whatnot.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
So I appreciate Randy bringing that to us this morning, and it's alarming. You could understand, like, I'm not picking on Edwards Township, but we'll just use Edwards, for example. I understand an assessor, just like anything, we're not robots. We're from time to time we can miss something. But when you have 12 brand new homes built in your small little township and not one of those has been put on tax roll, That's a major problem. And, you know, I'm not trying to micromanage this, but at the end of the day, this does affect the county. Because that's a loss of revenue to the township and the county. So in my eyes, there's obviously some incompetence involved here. It's more than one township as an issue. So after our meeting today, the head was spinning a little bit. I sent Randy an email. I copied Fabian and Commissioner Serbrook because he's on the budget committee. And again, I understand this is a township problem, but at the end of the day, it's also a county problem because it's a loss of revenue for us. And then also it's not fair. I live in Mills Township. I just had a raised mine because of something going on at my house. Okay, that's fine. I understand that. That's what happens. You pay more taxes. Now we go around to these other townships where it almost appears to me the assessor's basically not doing their job. And that's not right. So, you know, now it's made known to the public what's going on and needs to be more accountability and we need to see change.
Anything else, Randy?
Nope.
Thanks for the good news. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Randy.
Ogemaw County request for a donation of historical items.
Okay, the Historical Society has removed items from the display. And they are making a request that was in your packet for some of those items to be donated to the Historical Society. And so bringing it to the board to see what your wishes are.
Commissioner Serbrook?
I have looked at these items that physically looked at them, not just the pictures that we're seeing on our iPads in the prosecutor's office. And I think it's the right thing to do is to donate them. I don't think we need to loan them to the Historical Society. Actually, Judd Hobson there, if you scroll through these, I go back to, I knew Judd. I was his paper boy back in the early 70s, so I remember Judd real well. Some of their things here, I think we should just donate them.
I agree 100%. Commissioner Wiltie?
I appreciate these people, these entities that take the time and energy to preserve our heritage, our history. So absolutely donate to them, and it's great.
And LaDonna's taking the lead on this.
Correct.
So we definitely need to give her some recognition for this as
Yes.
well.
Thank you, LaDonna, for sure.
So, hey, you got our answer.
She has all the stuff in her office. So.
Put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay. 2026 budget amendment related to proposed deputy for building security.
Okay, last meeting, the last committee of the whole, we brought up the concept of adding a deputy for building security. And the board asked how that might be paid for. And so I put together this budget amendment that pays for an officer for 6 months and using some additional revenues and then cuts in areas where I believe that we can cut the budgets. And this is based on a worst case scenario on benefits of the employee having the family health insurance package, which is the most expensive. Also contributing the maximum 7% to the DC retirement plan. And so that's just information for the board to consider as you go through the process of deciding whether or not to add this position. This is, again, for 6 months. Obviously, if you're looking at it for next year's budget, you'd have to basically double these numbers.
6 months for this individual is $65,575.
Yes. Based on those assumptions of family coverage and maximum contribution to the retirement.
Comments, Commissioner Wiltie?
So we discussed this morning at our budget committee, and then of course, also at our law enforcement meeting this afternoon. Obviously, you guys heard me say, obviously we need some leadership with our bailiffs and our court security. We know that this would bring that leadership. This person would be the quarterback for these people. And then more important than that is, of course, the safety of our workers, the safety of our residents that come here, non-residents alike. And I think a certified officer present for the majority of the time this building's open will greatly support, a safer environment. So that's the most important part. It does come with a cost for sure, but I definitely think that we need to move forward with this. We definitely know the department itself for a long time has been lacking in trainings, which undersheriff has really gotten proactive, and I know that some things have already been moving with that, which is great. So I support this for sure. And I do know that Commissioner Scott brought up the last time that we met, we really didn't talk about this today regarding being concerned that they were going to talk with the union, see how we could do that, because I mean, this is a job that I think a lot of officers would like, I mean, this is going to be a Monday through Friday type job. Well, we just don't, I mean, we know where we're at, right? We don't want all of a sudden us to go down an officer now because this job is opened and now we're back again to, no more 24/7, and we know the importance of that. So I guess that's one thing we didn't talk about today. Do we have any more information on?
I did reach out to both
What?
union.
Come on up so everybody can hear you. Sorry. You can make it quick.
Reached out to both the union and the county attorney, so I have answers from both of them. I should probably share that with the board, maybe. All right, I'll forward that email out with the response form. So there's a couple of things that the county attorney addressed, and it's doable in a couple different fashions. So adding them to the contract and a specialty position basically. So I've got that. I'll forward that so you can take a look at what the attorney told us. We're going to schedule a meeting with the union here before too long, just to talk to them a little bit, but yeah, I've got an answer from the attorney on that, so.
So we're not 100% sure. I mean, if you're scheduling a meeting with the union, we're not 100% sure we can do with this.
Based on the attorney, I'm confident, based on what the attorney's opinion. I mean, ultimately, if the union was to press the issue at all, the attorney would be the one to answer it. But I'll forward that so you can read it and come to your own conclusion based on what the attorney advised us. Then you can use that as a basis, but I'm confident that we can do this. There's a couple different mechanisms that we can use for the process to get this person into place. That's not going to short our road.
I just wanted to ask, because I was watching the meeting last week and I believe you were asked, the bailiffs are deputized, correct?
They are deputized,
All of them?
all of them.
Okay. So have we ever tried asking them to wear uniforms? I know the security thing and we feel like uniforms helps detour trouble, which I don't disagree with. Have we asked the bailiffs, or has that been conversational to put them in a uniform?
That is part of the deployment that has been discussed on the other side of this. Several of them do have uniforms that are involved with also the corrections transport. So when we start deploying and kind of revamping the way building security goes, the sheriff is considering as far as those transport officers wearing their uniform for visibility purposes and presence. But it's not quite the same as an MCOLS, but it would provide for that visibility and uniform presence, which is a deterrent. So that'll be part of the deployment or the operation on the other side if we decide to move forward with whichever plan.
So I don't understand. So what does deputized mean exactly? What are they able to do?
It's kind of up for debate. They're deputized and under common law, it gives them certain abilities, but it's nowhere close to what an MCOLS licensed police officer does.
Can I help you out a little bit?
Would you? Because this has been debated.
No, I know. And having lived through it. They do not have the general powers of arrest that an MCOL certified officer has.
So, okay.
All right. Anybody, technically under common law, anybody can arrest for a felony committed in their presence, called a citizen's arrest. obviously have that, but they also have, they can act under, if they're deputized, they can act under the authority of the sheriff as long as they're, because they derive that authority from the sheriff. So if a deputy tells somebody that's been deputized, hold them until we get there, they have the lawful authority to do that. Where if they weren't deputized, they would not have the lawful authority to detain. They can't arrest, but they can detain, acting as an agent of the sheriff if they're deputized. That's all they can do.
That's a great way to put it, because that really applies to
And
our
that's
seasonals.
exactly,
Our seasonals
Yep.
are out enforcing
They can
green
detain.
laws or ORV.
they cannot arrest, they can detain.
So what training, you and I had a brief conversation, what training are we looking at with the bailiffs right now? Where were we looking at trying to get them more trained? Because all they, I don't mean all, they had CPLs to carry. What training were you,
So currently they're going through a 9-hour training course, and in that training course, there are several classes that were assigned for their training purposes, and they include use of force, basic first aid,
Mhm.
de-escalation, defensive tactics. So those are all part of the initial 9 hours. So they're going through, and that training program is an online course. It's either 1 or 2 hours long. I believe there was 2 of the 9 courses were 2 hours. Or it's not 9 courses, but there was
Modules.
2 modules that were 2 hours, and the rest were 1 to make 9. So
all online, no in-person training for self-defense or?
this is just the initial. This is to get them exposed, get them the basics. The moving forward, we've got other things that we're trying to get into place. So a hands-on first aid training, a hands-on defensive tactics. I don't think I put it in the memo, but I've got 2 deputies signed up. One is for a training course that has to do with use of force, and he becomes an instructor on the other side of it. So not only will that be beneficial in-house for the sheriff's office, but it'll also can translate because of the bailiffs to being able to train there. And then we also have 2 deputies signed up for defensive tactics training. They're going to be on the other side of it, instructors in defensive tactics. So again, we're trying to get back to that in-house, which will then can be also
Taser also.
Taser's already in place. We have an instructor on Taser. So when we get to the point where we have tasers in place and are gonna put some of them in this building, we'll put them through the Taser training prior to the deployment.
So these bailiffs are getting the training that in my opinion is necessary or needed, so they're getting further training and they're deputized and they carry. Correct?
Yep, correct. This training that they are taking is also the continuing professional education level that certified police officers in the state of Michigan are required to take. When they changed that law a couple of years ago and MCOL started funding it, every certified MCOL's officer is required to complete, now it's 24 hours of CPE is what they call it. This is the same level. The assignments that they've been given are the same level as what the deputies are currently going through in training for their CPE requirements.
Wow.
So I'm not assigning them ones that aren't Michigan certified. So they are getting ones that are certified for MCOL's officers. It's just they're not reported because they're not licensed through MCOL. So they're getting that same level of training. So
Mr. Sarek, did you have something to add?
I am in 100%, and I've said it from the beginning of getting a uniform certified officer in this building. And Karen shared with us this morning, we need to steal the thunder,
Sure, go ahead.
but we have an additional $95,000 in marijuana tax revenue that was not budgeted on the revenue side,
And
which she said could help pay for some of this.
it's in the bank right now.
Yep, the money is in the bank. We have received it. We physically have $95,000 more than was originally anticipated.
For 5 locations.
Thanks, Paul.
Can I just add one more thing?
Go ahead.
The sheriff also said today is one of those items we've been talking about for like a safety officer or someone to make sure to go around making sure our fire extinguishers, our AEDs, our Narcans, all those items are up to date. the sheriff did say that this officer would also, that would be one of his responsibilities as well, him or her responsibilities.
I'm gonna agree as far as I think that this department definitely needs some leadership and a good, strong leader. I have heard and I kind of went back and forth over the past week as far as if it needs to be a deputy, seeing this number is a lot of money. At this point in time, I don't feel it needs to be an actual trained deputy. I think these bailiffs getting the training, that's 100% necessary. I think we put them in some uniforms. I'm in agreements of hiring a leader. I'm in agreements with the sheriff's office taking this department over if they say they have the manpower and can do it. But I'm not sold on the deputy aspect. We just got 24-hour road patrol. Our citizens have been paying for that. It's been hit and miss over the past quite a few years. I'm just not 100% sold on that idea. So I would like to see that email if you could forward that to me. Historical Society, that was covered, I guess. Personnel Committee.
Well,
Question. Oh,
the Historical Society issue was that next week before the regular board meeting, the Historical Society is going to do an unveiling of the new displays here in the county at 4:40 p.m. and they wanted me to invite commissioners to be there for that unveiling.
4:40.
4:40 on March 12th.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Personnel Committee. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, Commissioner Serbrook, and you're not able to attend, so
Would it be at NIMSCA
we've gotten a few.
Friday of every month?
We've gotten a few emails of people that are not able to attend. This is our 7th rough draft. So we're kind of on the fence as far as if we gonna have a meeting tomorrow. Would you prefer us to wait till the following Friday?
If we could.
Yep, I don't have a problem with that.
That's what we did last month too, is because NIPSCA meets. I'm on one of the committees, so we meet early, but ordinarily it's at noon. We're in Gaylord this month, so I have to be there at 11:15 for my committee meeting prior to, so I wouldn't be able to make it.
Are you open next week?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move it to next week.
Thank you.
And then I also wanted to ask my fellow commissioners, been some conversation back and forth with the medical examiner. I guess I want to briefly summarize the email. She sent a email after our meeting related to her discussion with Lara. Still, interpretation is definitely not clear at this point in time. So then she sent an email out and I was CC'd on that, asking if we would reach out to our legal attorneys, asking their legal opinion. Fabian and I had a conversation about that today. I am not comfortable with that. I think that's getting another legal team and that's increasing our liability. That was my opinion. I wanted to bring it to the rest of you guys. We're paying them to do a service. I think they need to figure this out. I think if we get involved, it's just could add more confusion to the current situation, but that's only my opinion. So as of now, we've not reached out to our legal team. I wanted your guys' opinion before a decision was made. So you've been in on a lot of the conversation.
I would like to get the opinion from the county attorneys. It's not binding, but I think it would be somewhat helpful, if not very helpful. Because my concern is the liability for the county, as we've talked to both sides of.
Mhm.
You know, whether these, individuals are deceased, if medical examiner has the authority to take and have the funeral homes act as their agent to take them or not. I would like to hear what the county attorneys, what their opinion is of it.
Did you see her email from Lara?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Can you send it to me?
I can forward it to you. I guess I didn't look to see if you were CC'd on that. I apologize. Again, the answer was very
And I,
unclear.
well, and I suspected that when we had our discussions before. I don't think we're gonna get a straight answer out of the state of
You're
Michigan,
not going to.
one way or the other, period. They're gonna.
They've already told her that.
Yeah, I suspected that from the very beginning, that you're not gonna get a straight answer from the state of Michigan.
And they're definitely, in my opinion, in my response, they're definitely reading it the way that they want to read it.
Sure.
But Commissioner Wiltie,
Well, in my eyes, if they're not gonna get a straight answer from the state of Michigan, why don't we just proceed forward with, the way we feel it should be under the contract?
That, I think, is the issue, because we've got our medical examiner saying we can do it this way, and the funeral directors, their
Yeah, they're.
state association,
And they're-
their attorney saying, no, because it's gonna put you in a liability. Laura's issuing fines, so they don't want to get stuck. So it's a, we've got one side interpreting the law one way and the other side interpreting it another way. And no clear direction from the state of Michigan.
it was kind of odd because her email also brought up utilizing one of the local facilities for a storage facility. So it was very strange.
Well, and I really don't think she's clear on the fact that neither one of them have cold storage.
Neither,
To be able to hold
Homes.
the funeral homes.
she's
She's
aware of that.
she acts like she's not.
I have a question.
I guess I can't speak for her. Yes.
Mr. David, when we talked about this a little while back, weren't you gonna contact the hospitals, the local hospitals?
Nope, that is definitely not,
I thought somebody was gonna,
no, that we are paying them. I mean, that was brought up. We're paying them to do a service. That's something that we talked about, and we talked about them taking, I mean, that's their responsibility. So we did voice to them that there are local facilities that do have storage in McLaren and my Michigan facilities that they need to reach out to them.
okay.
I definitely did not want to get involved
Oh,
in
that's fine. I just
and what's
thought-
going on here.
On our table, they were gonna do some research.
You talked about it, but the final conclusion is what Commissioner David just said.
I'm just concerned, and we can move forward with it. I'm just concerned if we get our legal opinion and then ours varies from these other two, now we're stuck right in the middle and what decision to make.
Yeah, we're stuck in the middle now,
I have a question.
I think.
What is contacting our legal gonna do? Because it's still, our legal could say, yeah, that's fine. But at the end of the day, really, the only thing that's holding us up is the legal from the side of the funeral homes. So our attorneys could tell us one thing, but that isn't gonna change.
Correct, what they're being told.
Yeah.
Correct. At the end of the day, it's not.
That's true.
And all it's gonna do is put us right in the center of this, which we don't belong. We're paying for a service.
So again, I've said this in that last meeting. I mean, we have a cold storage area in the most concealed building in the county, which is our jail. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Had to been
it's
part of the
most secure
discussion.
building.
There are very
county.
specific legal requirements, and that does not meet the legal
All right,
requirement
I'm just bringing it,
required for,
most secure building in the
yeah,
county.
it doesn't meet.
Okay.
It has to be in the direction of a funeral director, I believe. It has to
Yeah,
be,
that's what Phil said.
so
I get what you're saying.
it's, but
I just want a consensus of everybody. And at this point in time, I said, just
I don't see
sit
what-
back and,
let them battle it out.
yeah,
I agree.
the resources are there. There is a transport team that Mr. Stevens said was available, and willing to talk. And there are also two places in the facility that have storage. So if worse comes to worse, things are available. So agreed. Fabian, you want a direction on that?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
There it is.
When did you come in to visit us?
Next week, or no, excuse me, in
2 weeks.
2 weeks to 19.
March?
Yeah. So in the meantime, we just lay low.
Yeah.
Prohibited items.
It's been brought up by a couple of the courthouse security in regards to vapes. They were wondering if we would entertain possibly changing the policy to take and outlaw the public or make of vaping, whatever the vapes are, what you call it, apparatus. A prohibited item from coming in the county building. They've had issues with them. They've caught people vaping. Again, it's the general public, it's not the employees. I don't know if any of our employees have vapes. I wouldn't want to deny the employees because they can go out on their breaks. I wouldn't want to have to deny them being able to bring them into the building, but I think the general public we should consider
Bringing them in or utilizing them?
bringing them into the building. Should already be prohibited because it falls under the smoking, if I'm not mistaken, under that.
I have personally witnessed defendants up in the hall
That,
vaping.
yep.
Yeah.
And several of them, I know, can have THC in them. There are vapes that you can buy that have THC.
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah.
it would not surprise me in the least if they're utilizing those in this building.
Opinions, Commissioner Wiltie.
Yes, we discussed this. This got brought up at our.
I brought it up, I threw it out when we had our budget committee, because we had some department heads here and I did, elected officials, and I just want to get their feeling on it a little bit too, so.
Yeah, I
think we're in a general consensus
I
that,
think we should add, I think vape should be banned from this building as for the general public. If we have an employee that uses it, I mean, as long as they're following the guidelines and using it on smoke breaks outside, that
Right.
would be it. But yeah, we've been told that some of our employees have seen people vaping. You saw somebody
I
vape.
have, yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
like I said, got brought up to me by a couple
Yeah,
of
they should be.
courthouse security folks too, so.
Okay. Courthouse grounds, I don't have anything else on there.
The courthouse and grounds one that I want to discuss is, and I don't know the procedure for how we address. I've had several complaints about the huge pothole that's in the back parking lot here, and it is big. Some people are concerned about vehicle damage and number two, trip hazards and things like that. So I don't know if Chris can cold patch that. I'm not sure. But something needs to be done because it's bad. It really is. You take a look at it when we walk back out when we're done here, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty good sized.
Idea, has it been brought to Chris's attention? Is this something he can do?
Again, I don't know. I don't know if that's within his.
Can talk to.
Yeah, I don't know if cold patch would do that or if we need to take and
Hire.
get an asphalt company to come in and do it. I don't know, but
How's it look back there, the rest of it?
there are several potholes back there, but that one is really,
Yeah.
I think it's right around the drain.
Yeah,
I think the drain's there and it's big and it's deep.
I noticed that today as well.
So, and the other thing is I was up in the law library again today, there were some people utilizing it and they commented on the condition of the carpeting up there. One lady said she almost tripped on it. It's like I brought it up before that there's runs in the carpet where there's actually pieces of carpet missing and
Can I make a comment on that?
so I don't know, I understand that in the courthouse and grounds budget, there is a specific line item for carpet. I just think that we need to decide I would like to see the law library be recarpeted and get on it sooner than later.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I mean, Commissioner Serbrook just nailed it. I mean, we're at negligence level now. We talked about this before. You just brought up the fact if somebody trips, people love to sue. We need to get new carpet in the law library. There is a line item for carpet to be replaced yearly. I think this needs to be brought up. What would be the process on that? Contacting Chris tomorrow morning?
Getting
Asking
RFP.
him to get an estimate? I don't think it's an RFP would be any over 5,000. It won't hit that.
Estimate and see how much estimate.
Yeah, I would say let's get on this immediately. It's just a liability. We know it. We're looking at it and we need to deal with it.
I mean, there's sections of it missing and it's rippled. It's not good.
More to come on that. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Serbrook,
Have nothing other than what I've already said.
Commissioner Wiltie,
Comments, not reports.
comments.
I'm open.
I had a comment. I listened to the audit last week. A lot to be proud of there. It sounds like our audit firm did a very good job. It seemed from where I was listening, everybody was very pleased. As far as the fund balance, what I would like to us see, and we're all kind of discussing it right now, is some strategic planning. We have a little fund balance there, which is nice to see, but we really need now to start thinking about a 3-year, 5-year plan. We need to start thinking about some capital improvements, some We used to, when I first came on, we did so much carpeting per year and that was stopped when, we got in some financial strain. So these are all things I definitely need to be talked about, with that monies that are there. Some upgrades, but we need to plan this over a 5-year plan. Also, need to start thinking about possibly with our fund balance, transit's gonna be a pretty hot topic here with the millage and funding and just thinking about that, fund balance. So
Well, I think
some conversation.
Good comment.
tag on to Fabian brought up that we're due to revisit, we're past due, I think, to revisit our 3 and 5-year plan and
We haven't had a 5-year plan.
capital improvement plan. Well, and, the interest from the revolving tax fund was to be utilized for those capital improvements.
It is.
I think that we need to take, and I agree with you 100%, sit down and prioritize and
We need a 5-year plan. Any good business has a 5-year strategic plan, and we have not had the funding to do that. So now we're headed there. So yes, Commissioner Wiltie.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this as exciting. I mean, for 3 years, we've been trying to keep our head out of water just to stay alive. And now we're finally heading in the right direction. We're creating sustainability in the county. Karen told us the other day when I asked her for a printout of tax revolving funds, the monies we have, what she feels comfortable we could use. I mean, we have a couple $1 million that we could spend the right way. So I think it's exciting to start a 3-5-year plan and that we can really have something to work forward towards too. And we can see, those improvements. So, this is great.
Okay. Public comment in the room.
I just wanted to mention, also, when I talked about the capital improvement plan, that we need to update our master plan. And then once the master plan is updated, the ordinance should be that in relation to the master plan. And then the Parks and Recreation plan needs to be updated. So I want to keep that in the conversation. Also related to the capital improvement plan is state law has that with the planning commission unless they're exempted from that. And I think that's something that the board should talk about, is whether or not we want to have the planning commission do that or have the county board through its staff do an initial one. Because I think asking the planning commission to do both a master plan and a capital improvement plan could be overwhelming for them. So it might make sense to separate those two, have the board do an initial capital improvement plan while the planning commission works on the master plan update. And then once the master plan update's done, and then decide to update the capital improvement and look at moving that back to the planning commission. Just some things for you to think about.
No, I believe someone's not muted on there. Is there any public comment on the phone?
Yes,
Go ahead, Commissioner Scott. How are you, first of all?
doing better. The Ogemaw, the nature park has been taking a lot of flack over the last few weeks over mostly Facebook. And if you pick up the newspaper that came out today, there's a great article right on the front page about the deer park. It was an extensive investigation done by the paper and spells out everything in there. So I hope that dispels a lot of the rumors that people are building on. That's all I got.
I'm glad you're doing well.
Get well.
Thank you.
Any public comment in the room? Come on up, sir.
Hi, Ken Schnauz. At our township meeting, we had a lot of discussion with the fire board. And one of the things that they mentioned, getting back to your vaping, a lot of their repeat calls up to Myers is because of people vaping in the bathrooms. It's caused a lot of fire calls up to the Myers department is vaping. So, take that information for what you will.
Thank you.
It's a big.
Your Churchill Township, are you going to talk to your assessor? Thank you. Any other public comment?
I have a comment.
Yes, Tom.
In regards to the law library, before we spend our general fund money, I'd reach out to the Indigent Council Fund to see if they have any money to put towards that because we're required to have one from them.
Nice.
I'd
Thanks,
reach out
Tom.
to Will Ingeman.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank
Any
you.
other public comment? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned. I'm Mr. Mayhew.
Want to adjourn.
He's home. I made it home.